And I'll let the other two school counselors introduce themselves, and we'll go from there.
Hi, good evening. Thank you all for joining us tonight. I'm Lillian Berry, and I am a school counselor at the high school. I do carry the freshman class, but I also have students with the last names A through C.
My name is Heather Pelletier, and I am a counselor for upperclassmen, sophomores, juniors, and seniors. For the junior class, I will have students with the last names L through Z. And then it will switch up from there. But for tonight, L through Z, any students with that last name, I will work with through their senior year.
Awesome. And then in a few minutes, we have a guest who will be joining us, and I'll let you guys introduce her later when we get to that section. Is that okay? Ms. Berry and Ms. Pelletier?
That sounds great.
Great.
Sounds great. Yes.
Awesome. So Ms. Berry, if you wouldn't mind sharing your screen, I'll continue to admit people into the room. Welcome, everybody. We're really happy you're here. And for folks who are just joining us, we are recording this for the sake of folks who might have some games tonight, who are busy, maybe they're working, so they can view it at a later time. The purpose of this time together is to help our juniors who are going to be seniors next year get ready for the senior year. We began this junior information night a few years ago because we felt like we were hitting the senior year without a lot of information that we were giving to seniors, and we were trying to crunch that in during a very short window. So we started doing this about 4 years ago, where we give you some initial information about moving into the senior year, describe some supports that we have for our seniors as they move into the senior year, and how seniors can prepare, or how juniors can prepare for their senior year when we end the year, which is exciting. In a few minutes, you'll hear from Ms. Berry and Mrs. Pelletier, and they'll talk about resources and some actual practical information that you juniors and then parents can access for their students to help them get ready. And so before we begin, I'm just going to talk a little bit about the guidance department at the high school, and we've had some changes and some shifting around. And so one of the things we wanted to mention is that our enrollment is growing, not only at the high school, but also district-wide. And so therefore, our guidance department is growing. And so we've had to make some adjustments with caseloads, and it's been fantastic because we're able to give more support to our students with more of us here. It's been fantastic. So right now we have 3 school counselors, Lillian Berry, who has all the freshmen, as well as students with the last name A through C, myself, sophomores through seniors with the last names that start with D through K, and then Heather Pelletier with students with the last names that start with L through Z. And then we have our registrar secretary who helps families with transitioning into the school, moving in, as well as transcript requests and a whole bunch of other stuff. There is a possibility that this caseload will be shifting again next year, but please know that we are not going to just move kids around and have you guys work with someone you're not familiar with. We want very much for our students to feel comfortable, and we all work together as a team. So we just kind of wanted to mention that. One of the things that we're hearing from our juniors this year is they're feeling stressed because they've probably seen our current seniors navigating the COVID year and the application cycle that they've had to kind of face as seniors. And so we wanted to give an SAT update. So as you know, the Department of Education used to have the SAT as the state assessment, that assessment you take every year. This fall, they pulled the plug on that and decided instead to make the state assessment the NWEA. You juniors probably know that already because you've been taking them. However, we as a district decided we still wanted to give the SAT as a courtesy for our juniors because we didn't know what the requirements were for colleges in the future. We haven't heard from all of the colleges that the SAT won't be required, and then there are some scholarships that the SAT is still required. So as you may know, we offered the SAT about a month ago. And so if you missed it or if you want to retake it, we wanted to make sure that you had the information about the SAT and the College Board. We are hearing from several universities and colleges that the SAT is optional next year, but not from all. And so we wanted to kind of give you that initial information. For those who did take the SAT with us, on May 21st is when we hear that those scores will be out. And your student can find those scores either through their College Board account. We in the guidance department will get them after the students, which we always get them afterwards. And then we'll have them as well for them. Just some other information, if you as a junior, or if your child who's a junior would like to take the SAT again or hasn't had a chance to take it, the upcoming dates are, there's one in June, but I believe it's too late to sign up for that one. August 28th, October 2nd, November 6th, and December 4th. And the way that students can sign up for the SAT is through their College Board account. I'm sure that our juniors are getting copious amounts of emails from College Board, and students just need to click in one of those emails, go to their account, and sign up for the SAT. But if they're having a hard time finding that, please have them come see us and we can help them navigate that registration. We also wanted to add some additional information in regards to COVID updates. So one of the things that we're finding, and the reason why we offered a school day SAT, was because the Saturday test centers were getting filled up very quickly by both in-state, across the state of Maine students, as well as out-of-state students. And so we found that our own students were getting bumped from centers because you can take the SAT anywhere. If I was on vacation in August in Wisconsin and I wanted to take the SAT on August 28th, I could. So we just wanted to make sure that if you are thinking of taking the SAT again, or if you haven't taken it yet, you'll want to sign up as soon as possible through one of those dates. So again, I wanted to also mention that we have not heard from all of our colleges in regards to the SAT. We are finding, though, that they are being transparent on their admissions pages, and they are sharing on their admissions pages whether they are SAT optional or not. And so if you're looking at a school that we're not familiar with, we can look at that together on their admissions page, or you can look at it yourself and see if a school is sharing what they're going to be doing with the SAT. And then finally, there is information out there to practice for the SAT if you do decide to take it. Mrs. Haskell, our wonderful interventionist, has that information for you, as well as we in guidance. And so we just kind of wanted to share that. Before I turn it over to our next presenter, I did want to mention that we do have a chat feature in the meeting. And so if you have any questions at all, we will be monitoring that. And at the end, we will have a question and answer time that we will address those in. So that's all I have for now. And I'll turn it over to, I think, Miss Berry. Miss Berry, you're on mute.
Thank you. All right, here we go. We'll take two. So in looking at some of the resources that are available for our students, the first place for you to start is the guidance office. So to really take advantage of the resources that you have in the building. And I include your counselors because we want to work really hard to make sure that we can help you find the information that you need. We want you to be successful, and we would love to be able to be a part of that process. So please come see us. The next is you'll notice here on the presentation, it's a link to Big Future. So right here, what you'll notice is, can you all see this right now, Mrs. Smith?
Did you
No?
click
Okay.
on the Big Future? No.
Okay, I'll go back to this. Okay, so with Big Future, this is a wonderful resource. It's a College Board search. So you can explore careers, you can look at cost and tuition. It has some wonderful resources on financial aid. It really just helps you hone in on what criteria is important for you in a post-secondary school. So I really would encourage you all as a family to go through that. We strongly encourage kids jump on college websites. The information that you're looking for is there. And that might be what types of programs, again, tuition and cost, enrollment numbers, and also contact information for people who will be very helpful in helping you get connected to the right people that you need. Requesting the college brochures, that again, if you need help doing this, please reach out to your counselors. We want to help you in this process. And sometimes, you ask once and now you know for the remainder of your college search. I honestly, I think talking to your teachers, your friends, alumni from schools, that might be one of the best tools that you can take advantage of, as they are going to be real. They're going to give it to you straight. They're going to give you, the insider look into what it's like to be a student at a particular college, because the experience is going to be very different and you want it to be made for you. College fairs, hopefully we're getting back to a place where this is going to be available for you all. And again, we strongly encourage for students to attend as many informational events as possible. I am trying to stay optimistic about the ability to do this in person, but if not, colleges have worked very hard to have virtual resources available for families to utilize. And we invite so many representatives from colleges to the school. We worked hard over the last year and a half to make virtual visits, and that process has really showed us how flexible and committed to making this work the college admissions counselors are. They really want information out there and they want to connect to the kids who want to attend their school. So we are feeling very positive about our ability to connect students to college admissions counselors in person or virtually. All right, Mrs. Pelletier.
Thank you. So using the resources that Ms. Berry explained, that is the first step to really making your college list. And so you're going to be looking at schools that have the major that you want to study in, that are a good fit in terms of what you think you want, whether you want a big campus, a small campus, a city campus, a rural campus. Whether you want to have a vibrant intramural program, you're going to be able to find that information through the resources that were listed on the last slide, and also talking to people and contacting the admissions representatives. But then once you've made your list, it's really important to visit the schools. And so within the last year, this has really changed a lot. Some campuses have continued to do in-person visits. It hasn't been the typical large tour groups of the past. It's been more personalized towards students and more individualized. And they have also used technology to really take hold of the virtual tours so that students can really see what the campus is like if they're unable to visit. So I think in terms of being able to look around a campus, at least virtually, the resources have really expanded, and you may be able to narrow down your list from there. At the end of the day, when you're deciding between schools, we always recommend that you've visited the campus before you make a decision, because there's something about stepping foot on campus that really can help you make your decision. Sometimes it just feels right. If you're walking around the campus or through the dining halls and you have students saying hello to you and like, how you doing, where are you from, all those, it can really feel like home. And if you're going to live on campus, that's going to be really important. So you definitely want to look for tours. A lot of schools will have a regular schedule for this. If you don't see anything that fits your schedule, you can contact the admissions office and set up your own tour. You can also keep an eye out for open house programs. Sometimes this might be college-wide, it might be program-specific, and oftentimes you can register online so that you can secure a spot in one of those open house programs. Also, every college website has request more information, contact an admissions counselor, and they have an admissions email box that's checked by their admissions representatives, and someone will contact you back, and you can start building a connection that way and asking questions. When you attend these events, take notes as you go around, like what do you see, what sticks out to you. It may generate questions that you may ask at different schools as you notice things that are going on around campus. So you want to take note of whether the campus feels like home, and are there things on campus that you feel comfortable getting involved with? So that will be important as well. A lot of times when you've attended a tour or an open house, the campuses will, or the admissions officers will have an application fee waiver that's available. So then the application fee can be waived for you for having attended an event. And definitely, like Ms. Berry said, speak with friends that are already in college, because they will give you the honest truth. They're in it, they're seeing it through all the seasons. Keep in mind that when you see virtual tours or you are mailed a pamphlet, that those are marketing tools. So they're not going to send you a picture of a dirty snowbank. They're going to send you the fall foliage or the apple blossoms, and they're going to make their campus look beautiful. So go and see it during those seasons and see what it's going to be like.
All right. So building off of what Mrs. Pelletier is saying, once you have had the opportunity, hopefully, to do those college visits, you're going to start thinking about applying for schools. And the process has changed so much, and it continues to change. So some of these students may have older siblings, and the process is just a little bit different now than it was then. The Common App has really made the process quite seamless for many students. And what we do as a guidance office is we do a Common App workshop in the summer. So we held it virtually last year. We have a recording that is on our social media, and that information is pretty standard. So if at any time you wanted to check that out, it's on our YouTube channel, and we break down each section and what is really important to include. We do that annually for all of our students because we want to make the process as easy as possible. There's a lot of information that we can help front load with the students so that when they actually are going to apply, the data that they are expected to have, the information, we have helped provide that. There are some important things that students should be thinking about this summer and definitely in the fall, and it's looking at your high school transcript. That is very important, and what is going to make you shine on there. Although you're a junior, there are strategic ways to stand out on your transcript. You also should just be very familiar with your transcript and able to interpret that information. Letters of recommendation. This is very important, and we encourage our students to start asking as soon as possible. There are a couple of things that we really suggest for our students when they are requesting letters. Even if it is a coach or a teacher that you have a wonderful connection and relationship with, you still should be providing them with the letter of recommendation request form, which is included in the folder and included as a hard copy in our guidance office. This information is so helpful for those recommenders because they can reference it quickly. What sports and activities have you done? The community service hours that you've completed, jobs that you've done, certain highlights that you want to be recognized. As the requester, you really want to help tailor this letter to best represent you. So please do not feel uncomfortable or nervous. It is a way to brag and showcase what you have done. So when it comes to the essay, this is different depending on different schools. Often there may be a couple of choices that will be similar between universities and colleges. And there are a couple of tips that we do recommend. Often our English teachers do like to reinforce the process and include it in their class. But if that does not happen, we really encourage kids, write multiple drafts if possible, focus on yourself, and really make sure that you have somebody that's willing to edit it. Hopefully somebody that you trust, as sometimes there's some personal information included. But if you're fine with that, we also have the Writing Center, and that is a wonderful option to have students' work edited. So Mrs. Pelletier hit on this. Application fees. Look for the mailings with free application options. So as she pointed out, request more information. Colleges want to be in connection with kids who want to attend there. They're very intentional about that, so help them. And often this is a great way for you to get those fee waivers. As Mrs. Smith mentioned, SAT scores. So this is somewhat up in the air, but what is really important for you all to know, if a school is requesting the scores, and sometimes that's specific to a major, they will require these scores to come directly from College Board. And that is a very simple process in requesting that. It's just important for kids to know that there is that extra step if schools are requesting it. And again, we will be more than happy to help your kids navigate through this.
So one of the biggest things during the senior year is to consider how much the deadlines matter. We'll include in the junior folder, senior folder combo, a senior timeline so that students know what to expect throughout their whole senior year. So starting in September, we have some bullet points of items that may need to be taken care of or may be happening during that time. So as Mrs. Smith always likes to say, she envisions this, it's kind of like a purplish paper this year for this class. She envisions it on the refrigerator, crossing off the items, crossing off the months as they pass by, and really making sure that you don't miss anything. And so knowing important deadline dates and the terms of the schools that you choose to apply to. You'll notice some terms as you go through this process. So some schools will have an early action deadline, meaning that you've chosen to apply early because you're really interested in the school and you're on the ball with your application. This is a non-binding application, meaning that if you apply and you're accepted, you can still choose between all of the schools that you are accepted to. There's also a deadline that's called early decision. This is a binding application. And so we see this more with the competitive schools. So like Colby, Bates, Bowdoin, they will have an early decision deadline. And you end up signing a contract as the applicant saying, if I'm admitted to your school, I will attend your school. So you can apply early action or apply to other schools, but if you get into Colby and you applied early decision, you're saying, I will be coming. So keep that in mind, that it is a binding document. There's also regular decision. So some schools have deadlines for their applications, and then their applications close after that deadline. But most often we see what's called rolling admissions. So there are no deadlines. Students can continue to apply. The only thing with this deadline is that as programs fill up, they will review applications and put people into their program choices. And as the programs fill up, a program that you're interested in could be closed if you don't get in your application earlier in the year. So it's really important to remember time management, keeping track of all of the deadlines, and being really organized with where you are in your application process and what the next steps are. And that's where guidance comes in. We have senior meetings. We map this out with you as students, and we can help give you some targets to meet to help keep you organized.
All right. So, Fame night, and it's funny, it ended up being on the same date as last year. We didn't really have to make too many updates on this slide, but we will have some information coming your way regarding financial aid information night. This will be September 15th, and this is where we invite an outside speaker, Nikki Vachon, and she comes and does a wonderful presentation that really helps look at the whole process of financial aid. And I think it really helps ease some questions or maybe nervousness or just curiosity around FAFSA and that process and what information is important to have. We strongly encourage all students that are interested in this to attend. There is some extremely invaluable information. Again, what's important about this, some information could be specific to the year. So it is very important for parents to either attend at the live event, or we will hopefully be able to record. I'm not sure yet, but that would be helpful, because we want to make sure that families are aware of all the ways that you can save money. So we really do push this meeting. In saying this, I did want to pull up just here briefly. I'm going to stop sharing this. I would like to show the Big Future resource from a previous slide. All right. Now, if I can get it to work, there we go. I wanted to just have a quick opportunity for us, just so that you could get a visual of it. It is part of College Board, but it really does help, you know, when we look at some of the resources that are available for families. It is very helpful. There are so many different ways that they filter the information to make sure that our students are finding the school that they want to attend that meets their interests and needs. All right.
And Ms. Berry, I'm going to present because I'm going to talk about what is in the junior folder. So I'm going to actually pull up the virtual junior folder.
Sweet. Okay, great.
Okay, can everybody see that? All right, so we have taken the junior folder virtual. Don't worry, we still have some hard copies in the guidance office for students to pick up if they would like to have paper versions of these documents. But with the technology and everyone having access to the printers at school, we figured we would give students direct access to these documents. And I'll just quickly go through them for the sake of time, but you'll have your cover sheet that shows you some of the next steps and what you should do leading up to your application in the guidance office. This is the senior timeline that I mentioned. So as you can see, even though it's sideways, that you'll have a block for each month, and then it will have different events that you can look forward to. The next item is the responsibilities chart. We break down what the student is responsible for, the teacher is responsible for, and then also what the counselors are responsible for. So the student will be responsible for their application, the essay, if a school requires SAT scores to be sent directly, and also the application fee. The teachers are responsible for a letter of recommendation when requested by the student, and the counselors will submit a secondary school report, the high school profile, the student transcript, and a letter of recommendation if requested by the student. We do have a couple of documents that are really helpful, much like the request for recommendation form that Ms. Berry referred to earlier. We have a student information for counselors. This is information from the student's perspective that can really help us when writing the secondary report. We want to tailor a report that best represents you. And even though we have great relationships with our students, we don't necessarily know everything about you. And it's a great exercise in kind of explaining who you are and acknowledging your strengths and maybe some of the things that you've had to overcome through the years, and helping us be able to shed light on that. This is the parent brag sheet. So this is where parents and guardians come in. It could even be a family member that's really close to you as a student. You know, there's not a spot on the application where the parent, the guardian, the aunt, the uncle gets to brag about what a great student they have. And so we have really loved having feedback from families to help us write our letters, because it also gives us a perspective about the student that we might not have in just our face-to-face meetings with the student. And you guys have done hard work too, helping to raise your children, and you know them best. There is the request for recommendation form. This is what the students will use to request letters of recommendation from teachers, coaches, employers, and this will help them write a really good letter. A couple of other forms are forms that have been found in the guidance office. We have a transcript request form, a community service form. Those are things that you don't necessarily need for your application right away. And the community service form is for the graduation requirement of 20 community service hours. And then we also have some documents that help give some insight into the Common App and some of the things that you're going to need in order to start that process.
All right. So that's the information that we have to share with you all. And before we do introduce our presenter, are there questions that are specific for our office tonight?
I don't see anything in the chat, but if folks want to just speak up, they can unmute and ask questions. That's what we're here for.
It may be too, and you can feel free to reach out to us via email if that's easier. That's no problem at all. We have thrown a lot of info at you so far. But Heather, would you like to take it from here?
Sure. So tonight we're so lucky to have Amy Giggy, who's an admissions representative from Eastern Maine Community College, to talk a little bit about the admissions process. And there are some exciting new changes with EMCC's admissions process, so I'm excited to hear about those. So I'll go ahead and turn it over to you, Amy. Thank you for joining us.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Ms. Pelletier. This evening has been, it's been nice to be with you all, and for taking time out of your evening to gather this information. I love being part of these presentations because I learned so much, especially with, you know, not being able to be right at the schools this year and trying to schedule everything virtually. I learned a lot tonight, so I do appreciate being part of this. like Ms. Pelletier said, EMCC has been undergoing some changes in admissions that we think really, it's really student focused, and how can we improve our admissions process? How can we improve processing times? How can we implement change that will impact your student in a more positive way? And so I'm not going to lie, it's been a very painful process this year with doing that. But we thought, you know, what the heck, coming off of 2020, I mean, I think probably most of us could say that we could handle just about anything after last year, and surviving this year as well, right? Because this year has followed. But yeah, so that's what admissions has been doing. There are a few of us in admissions, fewer of us these days in admissions, but the number of students is remaining the same, and we anticipate that that will grow as you know, things kind of hopefully turn the corner and go back to a more normal educational experience, right? And as your students make the transition from high school, from Herman High School, to what we hope will be the choice of Eastern Maine Community College. So I jumped at the chance when I got the invite to join you all this evening. So I have a little bit of a presentation. I know that I believe we're through tonight at 7:30. Is that correct? Yes? Okay. So I do have some information that I would like to share with you guys. And, you know, at any time, I'm happy to answer questions. And Ms. Pelletier and Ms. Smith, they have my contact information. So you and your student will, you know, you have a contact person at EMCC as you get this process started and navigate over the next, well, year, right? Because we're almost to the end of your junior year. So am I able to share? Do I have permissions to present? Okay, perfect. Let's see if technology is my thing. I'm not sure about that. We'll give it a try.
Looks good.
You can see that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, perfect. I cannot see that on my end, but that's okay. I'm not sure why I can't, but so what I have for you tonight is just kind of a quick overview of EMCC. I know we work in the same community, and you know, some of you may have had other children that have attended EMCC, and but I do want to give just kind of a quick glance and share with you some of the new changes and just some more information. And some of it will sound very similar to what Ms. Pelletier, Ms. Berry, and Ms. Smith have talked about, because, well, we're messaging the same, right? And we're sharing similar information. So just a little bit about EMCC. We have over 32 programs of study. Those studies range from health to culinary to the hands-on technical trade programs. We offer certificates, which are one-year programs for your students, or if they want to stay on and get some of the advanced trainings, then they could stay on with us and get their associate's degree with the advanced trainings falling in the second year. So, you know, we see students that come in that are like, I just graduated from high school. I know it's important to go to college. I know that for me to get the job that I want, I need to further my education, but I'm giving you 1 year. So we've had those conversations before, and that's acceptable, right? And so that's where the 1-year certificates really fit and could fit for your students. So there's that option. And then we've seen the students that come with that in mind, and they're really enjoying that first year. And they're like, I don't want this to end. I'm really interested in what the second year students are doing and what that might get me, you know, and so they let admissions know, and then we, you know, we push you ahead, and you have 1 more year with us. Not all programs have that 1-year option, but a large number of our 32+ programs do have that option. So there's that. We do offer many competitive programs. I'm going to skip over and plug in the rolling application, the rolling admissions that I think Ms. Pelletier chatted about, because Right now, we're looking to grow our program capacities, but to keep our faculty to student ratio small, and to be able to really have that hands-on and have room for you to and your student to experience that hands-on. Some of our programs are capped at this time, but we're looking to grow that. So that's hopefully a future change that will happen in the near future. So yes, we do have some competitive programs, and I do have some information specific to our 3 competitive medical programs that I want to highlight in just a few moments for those students and parents on the call, because really as a junior, this is where it's going to start to get important to start selecting specific classes to finish out your senior year to prep you for these competitive programs. And I know that that's always an important question that parents have and their students have when I've talked to other juniors. So I do have that further down in the presentation. So for the admissions process, again, without going into great detail, our goal is, and we are living through that right now, the painful process of how do we change and implement new processes to process applications quicker and get letters, decision letters out to all students quicker. So that's part of our new admissions process. It's free to apply to EMCC. So that's an important piece as you start to look at all the college options that you have and you narrow down your search. It is free to apply. What we tried to do several years ago, and that still is continuing through the work that we're doing right now, is we're trying to remove any barriers, and we're trying to make the community college education very accessible to all students. So that's where we're rolling ahead with that. Test scores. So I'm really glad that you all brought that up regarding SATs. And I was actually happy to see all the SAT dates that you all have had. I do think that's still an important piece of the college application process. However, EMCC, with what happened last year with COVID, we are making SATs optional. Right now, the decision has been made through 2022. I don't know what it will look like going forward. That's why I was kind of excited to still see this. But that's our stance at the community college and at EMCC specifically, that test scores are optional. So what we're doing is we're using multiple measures. We're really diving into your high school transcript and really trying to pull out of that high school transcript everything that we can. And some of what you have for virtual documents in there, I was really excited to see, Mrs. Pelletier, because there's that information that I might ask for, about one of your students, or might ask for your advice. And so we are working closely with guidance to help place your students appropriately. And when I say that, what I mean is in math and writing, because math placement is important into the technologies as well as the writing. So with SAT test scores being optional, we have to find another way around that. So, and to get prepared, like when you make this transition, and it looks like Herman hasn't left anything out in this getting you prepared process. And if there are any students on the call tonight and parents as well, I encourage you to really take advantage of what's being offered out there, because it will definitely help you through this process. And of course, we're here in admissions to help you as well. Also, early start options. As a junior, you're going into your senior year, you want to be looking at early start options, because you can save some money that way, and you can get a head start on some of the prerequisites or the requirements for some of the more competitive programs, and it gives you that edge, right? Because you've already started and you're already preparing yourself for what's to come. And you can build off of that college experience. How cool is it, I think, for some students to be able to say, I'm a high school student, but I'm also a college student at the same time. I mean, that was never an option when I was in school. So take advantage of that. And then the transfer, the transfer opportunities that we have from EMCC to many of the other colleges, including Husson and the University of Maine system. You know, starting at a community college and then transferring those credits can really save you some money in the long run if you know that your advanced degree is going to take you 4 years or longer, and you're going to have to depend on, your financial aid to help you in your student loans. So saving money on the front end sometimes and then transferring out is an option. And again, I just say financial aid process. And again, having Nikki Vachon come in September, I encourage all students and parents to jump on, with that and get the information from Nikki, because she's fabulous and she leaves nothing out when it comes to that. And then just some contact information. EMCC has an admissions help email, and you can email us anytime and we will get back to you with as much information as we can, or visit with you at school, or set up a virtual like we've been doing. And then we do have the virtual campus tour, which we hadn't had. But like Ms. Pelletier had said, take advantage of all these virtual options, right? Because colleges are doing that, for your benefit. So, and get prepared. And I'm not going to go down through all of this because we've already touched on that tonight. You all have heard this before. Just a few questions that I would have the students ask themselves, or parents, you can chat with your student and ask, what career are you interested in pursuing? That's a great place to start. Do you want to go to college for 1 year or 2 year? We talked about that a little bit. And what does that look like? And how's that transition happen? And what can I do after that? Do you want to be at a small college or a large college? I mean, if you were ever able to tour EMCC or even do it virtually, you're going to see that we're a small college. And that's fitting for some. Do you want to stay close to home? Obviously, in our area, I live in this area, and it's very commutable, right? But do you want to live on campus? Do you want that experience? And at EMCC, you can get that experience, and you can still take your trip home, or you can, whatever you'd like to do. So that opens that option for you. How will you pay for college? And who can help me? So these are parent questions as well, and student questions, that you can work with your student on. Now, program requirements, and these were the medical programs, the competitive medical programs that I wanted to share with you. Not a whole lot has changed in this right now at this time, but there may be some updates to this and how admissions processes, and actually when the application period is. And of course, we would message that to guidance and let them know. So there's more to come on that. But medical programs that have actual high school requirements for the admissions application. So really quick, just a quick time check. I think we're good. So for the nursing program, what I have up here are actual high school requirements. So as you work with your student and as your student works with guidance, these are things to remember. This is what we're going to be looking for. So for nursing, we're going to be looking for Algebra 1 and a bio with a lab. And the Kaplan nursing exam is a little bit later on in the process, but I put it out there because high school students will take that Kaplan nursing exam as well. So, and that's through us that you schedule with admissions, and that comes usually in December, January, and February. So for the medical radiography program, we're looking at Algebra 1, Algebra 2, geometry, anatomy, biology with a lab, chemistry or physics with a lab, and we prefer physics. Chemistry is great too, but we prefer physics for the simple fact that in your final semester, you're going to do radiological physics. And so we'd like you to have that background. But chemistry is an option too. So that's where you get to kind of pick and choose, right? And then there's pre-admissions testing. In the past years, we've used PSB admissions testing, but I believe that we are changing that for this coming year, and there's more to come on that very soon. And then references for the medical radiography program. As of right now, those are still a requirement for the application. That too could change But of course, we'll share that information. And then finally, with the Surge Tech program, Algebra 1, Biology with a lab, or Chemistry with a lab. And then there's a Surge Tech questionnaire, and I put post-application on that because once we receive your application, then that's an additional document that admissions would send to you for completion. So that isn't something that you would need to be responsible for at your school level. Some early start options, and maybe some of you have already received some information about this, but I always think that when I'm trying to share some information about the college, especially to parents, this is where, as a parent myself of students and going through this process, this information is amazing, right? Because there's scholarships available. There's ways for students to get enrolled in college classes, whether it's at the high school or if it's on the college campus, or if it's online. So that there's that opportunity. You know, students can earn up to a $2,000 scholarship to a Maine community college if they decide to attend after graduation. So there's that. And then new for this summer, I wasn't sure if we would have any senior parents or seniors on the call. I knew it was mostly for juniors, but sometimes they sneak in. So I did put a special offer that we're doing this summer, and it's Momentum from the Start program. And that's for high school seniors who are graduating and will be attending a community college to take a free summer class. And summer is a great time to take some prerequisites or some remedial courses if need be before starting in the fall with us. So that's ongoing. And then for students that are still in high school this summer, can take a free summer class under the on-course program, which it allows students to take free college credits each year. So it's a free class. So that's also out there for you to take a look at for those options. You know, so why EMCC? Well, for one, we're affordable, and that's important, I think, to just about everyone. Currently, our tuition rate is $96 a credit hour plus fees. So most classes are 3 credits. Some of our lab sciences or math are 4 credit, but on average, it's about $288 for tuition. An associate's degree averages about $3,700 a year in tuition and fees. If room and board was something that was important to your student, then there's a range there because it depends on what dorm, what meal plan options. So I just put a range in there for you. And then, you know, more about financial aid and through the Maine community college system, about 70%, it could be higher at this point, receive some form of financial aid, whether it's Pell Grant, whether it's institutional scholarships, or it's student loans. So some form of financial aid to help them with their college expenses. And then half of all of our degree-seeking students will receive grant aid covering full cost of tuition and fees. So this is especially important, I think, for our students in our area, you know, because if you decide to commute to school, and you receive full Pell Grant the way that it is right now, that's enough to cover your tuition and your fees. So technically, you shouldn't even have to do any student loans to be able to be a full-time college student at EMCC. So again, just some important information to get out there as you're beginning to gather this and create your folders and your binders and save this information. And again, I think I briefly discussed this, but you know, we're transferable. You can do 2 years at a community college, get your associate's degree, and with some of our colleges and our partners, you can do 2 more years at a 4-year and you know, save some money that way. So my daughter took advantage of this route where she went to EMCC for 2 years and then she transferred to UMaine and had 2 more years. So it really didn't increase the amount of time she was attending school, and her end goal was her bachelor's degree, and she did that, but she split it between 2 institutions, right? And so now she's, you know, working her way in the education system, and she's a fabulous preschool teacher, and this is how she did it. So everybody's path is different, but this is just one of those ways that you can, you know, make it a thing for you. And then, of course, the articulation agreements or the transfer agreements that we have, we work with the other colleges, especially the UMaine system, to help make it a streamlined transfer process, because a lot of students now are taking the path of, transfer, and they're kind of a la carting what they're going to do until they finally decide, what program and where do I want to be, and they're taking their transfer credits and moving them around to get there. So those articulation agreements are really important. And then I just put some of the participating colleges there in case anybody was interested in that. And then finally, we are offering summer classes this summer, as we have in the past. Some are in person, some are hybrid, meaning on campus online, and then some are completely online. So you can do it from your camp. As long as you have service, you can do it from there. But classes begin Monday, so next Monday, May 24th, and then we have a second session, which will begin July 12th. So it may be a little early for some juniors to take advantage of that, but I thought it was important for you to know that, right? Because we're trying to create options and opportunities for you through all of this information. So that is what I have for this evening. And I'm thankful to be here, and please think of me as a resource for EMCC. I've navigated this for hundreds of students, and some of your students I may already know because I've been in this area for almost 23 years. So I recognize some of the parent names on here, and I think maybe I had some of your kids in daycare a long time ago, long time ago. So it's awesome to see, familiar faces. And I always try to do my best to take care of our Herman students. So.
Great. Thank you so much, Amy. At this time, are there any questions? We haven't seen any activity in the chat, but now would be a good time to ask any questions. Perhaps someone else will have a similar question, so having that answer would be really helpful. And we can also post the resources and some contact information for some local colleges in that junior folder. All of the juniors were given access to that resource. I'll probably share it again as a reminder, and we'll probably also drop this recording in that folder, as well as post it on the high school YouTube page. All right, it doesn't look like there are any questions. Mrs. Smith, do you have anything in closing?
I just wanted to thank you, everybody, for coming, and thank you, Amy, for presenting. Our local community colleges are very valuable to us, and it's really great to hear from you. Juniors and junior parents, we want you to know that we're just an email or a phone call away, and if you're thinking of a question that you don't want to ask in the group here, please feel free to email us. I remember doing this as a parent for the first time and thinking I should know the information, but I didn't, and just needed someone to kind of answer that for me. So please reach out to us anytime. Juniors who are applying to four-year schools, be looking for a common application workshop date coming your way. It'll be in August, and I believe it's the 10th. Am I correct, Ms. Berry? And so what our goal is if you're applying to a school for common application, our goal is for you to have your application done by the end of the morning, at least 80% of it, so that when you kickstart your senior year and we have your senior meeting, which will be in the fall, you open up your common application that you worked on in August and you're like, whoa, I don't have much left to do. And it helps to alleviate the stress in the fall. And most of our common application workshop attendees apply to college by the end of September. So we're super glad you all came tonight, and we're very grateful for the time that you put into this. Please do not hesitate to reach out to us. We want very much to hear from you, and we're glad that you came tonight. Ms. Pelletier and Ms. Berry, do you have anything else to add?
No, just piggybacking on what you both said. Thank you all for joining us. And it's a very exciting time for you all as families, and we want to help support you any way that we can.
Awesome. All right, I think we are all set. Thank you, Amy, again, and everybody have a good night.
Thank you.